Paid lead generation campaigns. Did you know that on Facebook you can collect email? That's right, you can collect leads. It's pretty straightforward. You can run ad campaigns with a lead collection button. It can be find out more, sign up, or other language. Regardless, if you're running this type of campaign, it must be highly targeted. It's really important that your targeting is spot on. I put this part of Facebook ad marketing at this point in the list of marketing methods because this takes quite a bit of work. You should be quite familiar with Facebook before you even try this. You should know your way around Facebook's ad system before you engage in paid lead generation because it can get quite expensive. If your ad doesn't get many clicks or it's super finely targeted, you don't really have that many people to work with, and this can drive up your costs. You have to know how to optimize your ad campaigns on Facebook for this to make sense. You can optimize on many levels. There are 3 levels you can optimize. Level 1, you can tweak the freebie you're giving away. This is the free stuff that you're giving away, so people are motivated to enter their email address into your form. Maybe you're giving away free membership access. Perhaps you're giving away a booklet or a book or a report, a set of templates, a set of graphics, possibly even giving away software or a mobile app. Whatever the case may be, you are giving out freebies, and you need to optimize these. What I mean by that is the freebie that you give must motivate the most people in your target audience to sign up for your mailing list. This is not easy. You cannot assume that just because you think that your booklet is awesome or is the next best thing since sliced bread doesn't automatically mean people will agree with you. It doesn't work that way. You may have to switch from one freebie to the other until you get a high enough sign-up rate that would tell you that the freebie that you have selected is the right one. Thankfully, this is fairly easy to do with Facebook. You basically run different ads that offer different premiums. Level 2. Level 2 optimization focuses on optimizing your ad copy. As I've mentioned above, lead generation campaigns on Facebook can and do get very expensive. It seems like you're doing all this for basically a handful of emails. This is why it's really important to make sure that you run a fully optimized campaign to get the most results. How do you do this? Well, you optimize your ad copy on an elemental level. Still, I want you to get a heads up this early on regarding the amount of optimization that you would have to do. It is quite intensive. You can't leave things at a surface level. That's just not going to work. Level 3. Level 3 involves optimizing based on conversions. When people click on your Learn More or Sign Up button, they're shown a form. You're going to have to keep tweaking that form to say what it needs to say to convert as much of your traffic into list members as much as possible. This takes quite a bit of time and attention to detail. Again, you have to run these experiments while minimizing your costs. Once you find out something that works, optimize it to increase its level of conversion. Once you have picked a winner that cannot be optimized any further in terms of conversion rate improvements, that's when you scale up. That's when you pour in the dollars to reach as many people as possible to boost your mailing list sign-up. Facebook Pixel Retargeting Campaign. Facebook enables you to put their tracking pixel on your website. It will then track when people go on your site. If people end up at your shopping cart, for example, you can then run an ad reminding people about your site or reminding people about the products that they almost bought. They see these ads on Facebook. Whatever the case may be, Facebook Pixel Retargeting gives you another bite at the apple. One of the biggest problems with e-commerce is that prospective buyers abandon their shopping carts. A large chunk of these buyers simply decide at the last minute or at some point in the buying process to dump their shopping cart. They don't follow through. This is where the retargeting campaign begins. It's basically a way of reminding people who have already expressed an interest in whatever it is you're offering to come back. If anything, you recycle traffic that you have gotten from Facebook. Another benefit of this technology is that it pulls traffic from Facebook that you did not get from it originally. For example, if you did an independent marketing campaign completely free of Facebook, but you put a Facebook retargeting pixel on your page, when people from that independent campaign, maybe it's a forum promotion or search engine optimization or another social media platform or whatever source, go back to Facebook to check their accounts, your ad will show up. Sounds awesome, right? These are all possible through a Facebook Pixel retargeting campaign. There are 2 steps to it, and it's pretty straightforward. Install Facebook Pixel on your website. The first thing that you need to do is to install the Facebook tracking pixel on your site. To do this, you just go to Facebook's business section and look for their pixels instructions. It's pretty straightforward. Even if you're using WordPress as your content management system, installing Facebook Pixel is a breeze. Next, you need to make sure that you drive traffic to your site. This means that you have to let traffic flow to your site for quite some time before you launch a retargeting campaign. It's not a good idea to launch a campaign as quickly as possible. You have to have enough targeting pixels installed in people's browsers for this to make sense. Otherwise, there are just not enough people to work with. Now, keep in mind that if you are in a niche that has generally low traffic levels, then you would have to conduct your campaign even though the overall traffic flow to your website is fairly low. Run ads on Facebook for retargeting. The ads that you're going to run for Facebook Pixel retargeting are going to be a bit different from the normal boosted posts or picture links that you run on Facebook. Instead, these are going to try to achieve two things. You can remind people about what they did. Maybe they wanted to buy something, but they changed their mind at the last minute. Perhaps they were reading some sort of conversion article and were about to enter their email address, but they didn't. Whatever the case may be, you're reminding them to come back to what they were doing before. The other thing that you can do with your Facebook Pixel retargeting campaign is to pull people deeper into your website. Usually, a website is composed of two parts. The first layer is the content layer, meaning you're trying to get people to know about the problem, like your particular solution, and eventually trust the solution enough so they can buy. The other part, of course, is pretty straightforward. It's all about buying. But there's a complication. A lot of people would go through the content layers, but they never make it through to the actual buying part. They never make it to your conversion page. This is where retargeting ads that pull people deeper into your website makes a lot of sense. For whatever reason, somebody reading an article on your site decides to close the window and get out of your site. You can run ads that tell them about content, but another piece of content that is related to what they were reading before. This pushes them further down the conversion funnel. Alternatively, you can run an ad that promotes your conversion page. Basically, what you're saying to the prospect is you've figured out what my website is about, and you have a clear understanding of what I have to offer. Maximizing your results from Facebook Pixel retargeting. I suggest that if you want to maximize the results you get from retargeting, promote your squeeze page. That's right. Promote the page that recruits people to your mailing list. Usually there's some sort of freebie. There's usually some sort of book or booklet that you're giving away so people can enter their email address. Whatever the case may be, push the squeeze page. Don't dump them to your sales page unless, as I have mentioned above, they actually reached your shopping cart or conversion page and changed their minds at the last minute. That's pretty much the only situation where you should retarget showing an ad that goes directly to the conversion page. Other than that, convert them to sign up for your mailing list. It's your mailing list with its many chances at gaining attention, building trust, and gaining credibility, which will actually do the heavy lifting as far as converting that prospect into an actual sale. How to optimize your Facebook ad campaigns. Follow the steps below so you don't overthink things and make bad decisions when optimizing your FB ads. Reverse engineer your competitors and come up with a standard model. If you have a personal account, find your competitors and like their pages. Before you know it, you'll start seeing ads either from your competitors themselves or from businesses that are very similar to your competitors. Pay close attention to these ads. Reverse engineer them to find the standard model for these ads. In other words, go through as many of these ads as possible and get a clear understanding of what kind of pictures, headlines, and text they use. Also, if they are mostly promoting posts, pay attention to that. Whatever the case may be, look at what they're doing and see common patterns. Focus on the most commonly used strategies because this gives you the industry standard model. Don't get sidetracked by ads that seem so different, so new or so innovative because if they are so different from the industry standard model, they're outliers. There's a high chance that those ads do not convert. Come up with your own version and test with a low budget. Test with a low budget. You don't want to burn through a tremendous amount of cash during the testing process. There will be a time and place for you to get crazy with the budget, but now is not the time. Create variations and test. Now that you have come up with your own version of the standard model, create variations of it and then run low-budget tests. Do not do this randomly. Do not do this based on your feelings or impulses. Instead, you have to follow certain rules on how to create variations. Otherwise, you wouldn't know which part of the ad accounts for its greater success. I've seen this happen many times. In fact, I've committed this mistake before. I would take an ad and test it. I would notice that it's not getting that many clicks, so I change half of the ad. Maybe I change the picture and then the headline, or I would change the heading and the description. Whatever the case may be, I would change half of the ad, and sure enough, it would improve. But when I try to improve things again by changing the other half of the ad, it falls apart. You want to establish a way of effectively tracking which changes accounted for which improvement. By using this method, you can optimize parts that work to reach peak convertibility and then work on the other elements of the ad that could use some improvement. However, you have to do this in a systematic way. I've described this in the section below. Pick the winner and make further variations. Now that you have made variations of the original and you ran a test, there will be at least one winner. It gets the most clicks and conversions. Make variations of it and you run the test again. Keep testing until you find the ad that delivers the best return on investment. The end of this process is pretty straightforward. You keep making variations and you keep testing on the cheap until you find an ad that delivers the best ROI. In other words, it delivers the most conversions while costing very little money. I know it sounds like a fantasy at this point, but it is doable with testing. Scale up. Increase your ad budget to your winning ad to pump a massive amount of traffic to it. You should only do this when you are dead sure that you have a winning ad on your hands. In other words, you have tested it rigorously and have optimized it to the point that it cannot improve its conversion rate any further. That's when it's ready to go big time. Make sure you optimize on an elemental level. The big problem with the ad optimization method I described above is how do you know which part of the ad to change up? How do you know which part of the ad to optimize? Wholesale variations do not work. You can't just take an ad, see that it doesn't work, replace it with a completely different ad, see that it doesn't work, and then repeat that process. Even if you're spending very little money, it still burns a tremendous amount of time, effort, and opportunities. You need to have a better way to turbocharge your results. Vary on an element-by-element basis. I would take an ad, and I would restrict my optimization to a specific element of that ad. Every ad actually has many elements. There is the graphics, the heading, the description, the link. I would start with one element, and I will come up with different versions. The most obvious part is the picture. So I'd play around with the different pictures and see which gets the most clicks. I would then come up with a variation of that picture and see if I can improve my click-through rate. Again, I'm spending very little money here. I just want to see an improvement in click-through rate for that element that I'm varying. Once I have reached a plateau and I can't improve any more on that element, I would then switch to another element. For example, if I'm running a campaign for dog food and I notice that my best performing picture after a series of variations is a picture of a chihuahua that seems to be smiling, I will keep that picture, but then I will then switch to the next element of the ad, which is the headline. I would then keep varying the headline to see if I can improve the conversion rate of that ad. Once I've reached the ceiling or a plateau for improvements in conversions due to headline changes, I then move to the description. Do you see how this works? You know that you have to vary an element if you keep picking the winning variation. You do this with small tests until the whole ad is optimized. After all elements have been optimized, scale up your ad buy. Once I've gotten an ad that converts much better than its original form, and I've gone through all the elements, now is the time to scale up. This is where I pour quite a large amount of cash into my Facebook ad campaign to boost traffic. Conclusion. Facebook marketing is a lot of fun because there are a lot of things to discover, but it can also get very expensive if you don't know what you're doing. Follow the 8 proven promotion methods covered in this training so you can start your Facebook promotion campaign on a solid path to success.